The floorboards in the kitchen groaned under the weight of the night. Gloopy stood perfectly still by the wooden table, vibrating house, a pulse from his feet. He gripped the edge of the table, his knuckles pressing into the wood. As the air in the room grew heavy and thick, center shattered darkness, erupting vibrant light, casting long dancing shadows against the walls. Gloopy pulled back, his breath hitching in his throat. A glowing orb hummed, suspended mid-air, eyes wide, chest thrumming, colors swirled.
Kitchen hues danced. Gloopy's hand tingled near the glow.
The orb shuddered, its surface rippling like water. It stretched and expanded, the swirling colors folding inward. Two glowing eyes appeared, bobbing playfully at eye level. Metallic hum became a ringing tone. "Hello, Gloopy. Magic light," it chirped. Gloopy blinked, his frame wobbling as he processed the sudden greeting. The entity spun in a slow, graceful circle. Golden sparks rained, vanishing mid-air. One wish, magic light hummed, vibrating. But be warned, magic is tricky. Gloopy bounced on his heels, the floorboards creaking rhythmically beneath his weight. Excitement surged, hands clapping. He leaned in, his face inches from the glowing eyes, his grin stretching wide. The air around them crackled with anticipation, the kitchen light dimming. Gloopy paced the length of the table, his rubbery limbs stretching and snapping back into place with every step. The thought of a wish pulsed through him like a drumbeat. He stopped, his eyes fixed on the glowing entity. "One wish? Just one?" he asked, his voice trembling with the weight of the choice. Magic light drifted closer, its surface flickering with a soft amber hue. "Yes, Gloopy, one wish. But remember, magic is a volatile force. It does not always follow the path you intend." Gloopy ignored the caution. He clapped his hands. "I have it. I want every spoon in this house to dance." Magic light dimmed, its glowing eyes widening as a small nervous emoji rippled across its surface. "Every spoon? Are you absolutely certain?" Gloopy bounced on his toes. "Yes, do it! Make them dance!" The kitchen grew silent, the air tightening. Magic light pulsed with a blinding white-hot flash that filled every corner of the kitchen. For a heartbeat, the room went perfectly still. Then, a single spoon, resting on the table, twitched. It wiggled, arched its handle, and suddenly launched into the air with a sharp metallic snap. Gloopy gasped, his eyes tracking the silver arc as it tapped against the wooden surface. The magic did not stop there. The kitchen drawer groaned, the wood straining against an invisible force before it burst open. 12 spoons shot out in a silver streak, flying like arrows across the room. They clattered against the walls, ricocheting off the cabinets. With a rhythmic, percussive beat, the spoons began a synchronized tap dance on the tabletop, their bowls striking the wood in a rapid, clacking cadence. The magic was no longer contained to the tabletop. From the dark depths of the sink, the dishwasher, and the furthest corners of the cupboards, hundreds of spoons surged forward. They did not just dance, they swarmed. Silverware poured out like a metallic tide, filling the air with a deafening, relentless clatter. Gloopy stood in the center, his laughter still ringing, but his eyes darted from wall to wall as the room grew crowded with flying steel. The individual spoons began to accelerate, linking their movements into a singular, dizzying vortex. It was a tornado of metal, spinning with such speed that the individual shapes blurred into a shimmering silver wall. The sound was absolute, a roar of clanking metal that drowned out the creak of the floorboards. Gloopy's grin faltered. He took a step back, but the vortex followed, tightening its radius. The air pressure in the room shifted. Whipped into a frenzy by the spinning blades, his laughter died in his throat, replaced by a sharp, nervous gasp as he realized the scale of his request. The kitchen was vibrating, the walls shuddering under the impact. The vortex tightened, its metallic grip pulling Gloopy off the floorboards. He kicked his rubbery legs, flailing against the wall of spinning steel. But the spoons only pressed harder. They wrapped around him like a heavy clanking shroud, pinning his arms to his sides. He was lifted into the air, suspended in the center of the cyclone, his feet dangling uselessly. A heavy soup ladle whizzed past his head, the metal edge clipping his ear with a sharp sting. Gloopy squeezed his eyes shut, trying to shield his face, but the spoons were everywhere. He opened his mouth to shout, but the sound was instantly swallowed by the roar of thousands of clashing bowls. He was completely buried, his voice lost, his movements restricted to the frantic rhythmic pulse of the silver storm. The metal cocoon pulsed with every frantic rotation. Gloopy twisted his body, but the spoons held him firm, their edges digging into his rubbery skin. He caught sight of magic light hovering just inches from the vortex, its glow dimming under the strain of the uncontrolled spell. "Magic light! Help! How do I make them stop?" Gloopy shouted, his voice cracking against the roar of the silverware. The orb bobbed, its light flickering in a desperate rhythm. "You must say the magic word. The word that halts all magic." Gloopy squeezed his eyes shut, his mind racing through every word he knew. "Is it please?" he yelled. The kitchen went deathly silent. The spoons froze in mid-air, suspended like silver statues, but the tension remained. A single spoon fell, hitting the floor with a sharp, echoing clank. Magic Light shook its head, its glow pulsing with a warning. "Close! The word is enough. Say it when magic goes too far." Gloopy took a massive shuddering breath, his chest expanding. He braced himself, looked directly at the orb, and roared, "Enough!" A wave of golden light erupted. The golden light faded, leaving behind a sudden heavy stillness. Every spoon that had been part of the metallic tornado drifted downward, landing with soft, precise clicks back into the drawers and the sink. The kitchen was perfectly tidy, as if the chaos had never occurred. Gloopy stood in the center of the room, his rubbery frame sagging. He shook his body, a rhythmic ripple that started at his head and traveled down to his feet, fluffing his form back into its natural shape. He moved to the wooden table and pulled himself up, his movements slow and deliberate. His chest heaved as he caught his breath, the adrenaline leaving him. He reached out and picked up a single spoon from the tabletop. It wiggled once, then performed a tiny polite bow before going completely still. Gloopy watched it, his large eyes fixed on the silver surface. He let out a long, shaky breath, the tension finally draining from his limbs. "I learnt something today," he said, his voice quiet in the empty room. He set the spoon down gently. "More is not always better." He sat there for a long moment, feeling the solid wood of the table beneath him. Magic Light drifted closer, its glow softening to a warm, steady amber that bathed the kitchen in a gentle light. It settled on the table beside Gloopy, the chiming hum of its presence, now quiet and rhythmic. Gloopy leaned his head toward the orb, feeling the faint, pleasant warmth radiating from it. They sat in the silence of the house, the earlier chaos, now just a memory of clanking metal and frantic movement. Gloopy let out a deep, wobbly laugh that echoed softly against the walls, a sound of pure relief. He turned his gaze toward the camera, his large eyes bright and focused. "Did you like our adventure?" he asked, his voice steady and inviting. He gestured toward the screen with a rubbery hand. "Hit the like button. It is like a little dance for our video." Magic light pulsed in agreement, bobbing up and down, before floating gently to rest atop Gloopy's head like a glowing soft crown. Gloopy smiled, his body wobbling slightly as he leaned forward. And subscribe so you do not miss what we wish for next time. The light from Magic Light flared once, a friendly shimmering blink, before dimming down to a soft, steady glow. Gloopy gave one last slow wave to the camera, his expression one of calm satisfaction. The house was still, the spoons were silent,